Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hey.
Daft Punk's in the building. What's happening in Fusemania?
I wanted to mention is I was just in Washington, D.C. Drew had a trip up in Washington, D.C., and I was so jealous that I had to take my own up there. And I got to hang out with stylist Chris. If you guys remember back to his episode on here, it was episode 58. If you check that out, he talks about how he would take us to Ben's Chili Bowl. So we actually made that happen. I got to go to Ben's Chili Bowl with him, and we made a little Instagram reel. So if you head over to the Instagram and check that out, you could kind of see that, and that's throwing it back to episode 58. So shout out to Stylist Chris for making that happen. Really appreciate hanging out with him and him taking the time to meet up and show me around the city a little bit.
I would say a little bit of that episode is what I still think to this day is what kind of encouraged Fuse to sign up for the Reds DJ. And, so a big shout out to Stylist Chris for that. It was pretty cool.
Definitely. A lot of that was right place at the right time, but definitely it was important. And, I got to actually see Chris at the Washington Nationals games. The Reds were playing the Nats. That was the other reason I went up there. And he showed me around the stadium, got me a field pass, took me everywhere. In the stadium, and kind of showed me their way of doing things there, which is very similar to what we do. It's just all in a different way. Each team's kind of got their own thing, but it was really cool to be able to check that out and get to see all that.
I'm seeing more and more teams jump on, having good DJs on their crew. So
I'm sure it makes a difference versus really bad ones.
I just saw Chris Villa posted today. He's back with the Diamondbacks. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, very dope.
Moving forward, we've got a great guest for you today, hailing in from Glasgow, Scotland. I might have said that wrong, but
no, you did. You actually said it right.
All right, I said it right. Okay, so yes. He shared the stage with huge artists such as Snoop Dogg, Mark Ronson, David Guetta, Steve Angelo, many, many more. He's been booked all over the world, United States, Canada, India, Switzerland, Norway, and many other countries. We got to talk to him a little bit about some of those gigs. He won the Redbull ThreeStyle UK finals and is respected amongst some of the best DJs in the game. Please help us welcome DJ Big Al.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Everything's good. Life is good.
Life is good.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
No, we're stoked. I mean, anytime we can have someone international on, we're like, it's a huge deal for us because it's just showing. This is why we started this whole podcast, is just to like connect with people, And so when we get to speak with people across the world, it's amazing.
No, for sure, man.
And you got a lot going on. You got a new baby, you said. So yeah, we know we're taking up some of your time from the newly dad life too.
You're giving me a break.
Is that number one or
number one? Yeah, my first.
Okay.
So,
congratulations.
Only 3 weeks, but so far so good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you guys have kids?
I do. I
do.
Drew does.
What do you have, Drew?
I have a 14-year-old daughter. Okay. And, I'll be honest, I was a stay-at-home dad for the first 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I DJ'd at night every night and woke up with her, and it was torture. But those are some years I look back on. It's amazing years. So
you don't want to have to disappear 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, miss all that good stuff.
No, hell no. It was the hardest part was sleeping with one eye open and trying to restart Mickey Mouse Club so she would stop crying, because I was like, I'd only slept like 2 hours by the time she gotten up.
I know, and it feels like 2 minutes.
Oh, Yeah. So yeah, those were some crazy years, but congrats to you, man. It's
Yeah, man.
huge.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
So, are you a full-time DJ? That's what
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah, for a long time, man. I've
How,
never paid a bill doing anything else.
that's awesome.
It's amazing.
I mean, it may be so far it's awesome, but we'll see. We'll see.
Uh,
No,
I'm flying without a parachute.
no, it's good. I was just gonna ask, what's your typical week look like now with gigs? Are you playing mostly on the weekends? Do you do weeknight stuff?
So like at this exact period, kind of like post COVID and just on the current landscape of like my city or my country is like the weekends are like super stacked. You know, like maybe the equivalent of like 4 gigs in 2 days, like that. Friday, Saturdays are just stacked. The midweeks are harder, getting harder to come by. Just
Mhm.
going, I think the city here, especially like just talking about my own city, it's just going through a transitional period where people are like, but I've been lucky to fall into some new venues that are kind of like ahead of the curve. So yeah, which is good because there's a few venues are starting to fall behind, and I think we might lose a few clubs over the next couple of years. Just feeling that the knock on from the pandemic. I
Yeah.
don't know what it's
oh,
like. Are you guys seeing something like that too? Are you guys seeing a shift?
I there is definitely a shift in the style of club, but I still see the gigs are there
Hmm.
currently. I'm in Southern California, so we're way too overpopulated. I don't know. Fuse, I don't know
Yeah,
if he's been getting hit as hard.
I think that one, the type of club, the like the bottle service club is
yeah,
becoming few and far between, and
true.
there's still some in the bigger cities and stuff, but even here I feel like there's only a few like true clubs, and you know the during the week stuff here is hard too. There's
Yeah,
only maybe one spot every night of the week that has something
yeah.
going on.
Sounds like very similar. I mean, we used to be able to. I mean, we used to be able to sell bottles pretty much like all week.
Mhm.
Those type of spots. But I think I was talking to Graham about it, and he was saying a similar. I think the culture here is shifting. I feel like the nightclubs, the music was getting really like serious. The house was getting really techy, and all the hip hop, all the UK stuff, the drill stuff was like just really, it was just really serious. So the venues that I'm playing at now, or the main venue I'm playing at now, is like a mixture of live music and DJ sets, and we're just playing like fun jams, and
Yeah.
people are like, everyone's starting to realize like, oh, people like just listening to like fun jams that are like, do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't sound like rocket science, but it's like, oh, like it's kind of getting back to that, and just I think clubs took themselves a little bit too seriously, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
and just
think
like
you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, that's how it is at my gigs. I pretty much play mostly just fun poppy stuff, stuff that wasn't considered cool to play at some of the clubs when it
yep,
even first came out, and
yeah,
now that's what I'm playing.
and it's like you're cultivating like a good energy in the room.
Yeah.
No one ever got like punched in the face to Natasha Bedingfield. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it just it's just like it just doesn't happen. You hug the person next to you, you're
we,
singing. It's like
we,
I like it. I prefer it like that, you know.
Feel the rain on your skin.
That would
uh,
go that would go viral. Bar brawl, and in the background it's just like unwritten. It's just popping off, and everybody's just like,
so you say 4 gigs in a weekend? Is that so? You have like day parties going on, or
nah. So with the format I'm doing at this new spot, I start really early. So like the format's basically like maybe like a live musician will play for an hour, and I'll jump on and do 30 minutes. Then
okay?
he'll go, but then we'll just keep switching. So
Yeah.
therefore, it lets them. We have a presence on stage, guy singing, guy with a guitar, maybe keys, drums, like, and they're doing like they're doing contemporary covers, classics, like, and then I can just hit them with these like short DJ sets where I can
Yeah.
just condense all these hits. I mean, what it's like if someone's like, "Can you do 30 minutes?" You're like, Of course, it's perfect. Like I'm gonna look like a hero, do you know?
Yeah.
And I get to go back to the green room for like an hour and just think, what will I do for my next 30 minutes? So,
Yeah.
but the format's really working. Like, I think people, just like you're saying, I think the fun jams are back, and the guys that are conditioned they know what the fun jams are and how to like put them together in a creative way. Again, we're going to see we're going to have another run at it.
I think so. I agree.
Yeah. And then the corporate stuff and the trying to do like stuff out with nightclubs is always not just relying on nightclubs. Just
Yes.
anyone that will have a DJ at a thing, just try and be in the conversation for that also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree. Corporates, weddings, all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah,
My
even like
yeah,
the sports stuff. I mean, it's perfect, you know?
right.
It's like
Right. It skips that 9 to 5 that you're saying. No one needs that 9 to 5. As long as you don't have to do that, that's the goal.
I mean, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think I'm too far gone. If I ever go back to that, I don't know. I don't know. It would hit me like a ton of bricks in
Yeah,
so many ways.
I agree.
But it's all good. I remember I was going back through the episodes and I was listening to Conflict, and you guys had a conversation towards the end about almost like DJ shelf life,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he had a point, and you had a point, and it's like. I think I'll sit on the fence and say you both had good points, but I think you're right in saying like we haven't really seen like if you're DJing, and I don't know, I was 40 in January, so it's like, but I don't feel like I'm any worse at DJing. If anything, I'm better,
oh, way
and
better.
you know what I'm saying, and it's like. And I understand the aesthetic of saying, it would be nice to have like a 21-year-old DJ who's like who looks,
Yeah.
youthful and enthusiastic. I'm not saying I don't look enthusiastic when I'm DJing, but at the same time, if someone comes to fix the roof in my house, and there's one guy who's been doing it for 20 years, and there's another guy who's been doing it for like 3 years, that's got to come into play. So if you're doing like a massive corporate event where they have like 200 grand sunk into some event, and they're like, do we really? How much do we want to take a gamble because this kid is 21 and fits some type of like, looks like a model, or do we just want the guy that's going to roll up his sleeves and make sure that we get this done? So, and that's us. Do you know what I mean? That's us, the guys that are starting to touch that 10, 15, 20 years experience in this.
Yeah.
Some guys even more.
Yeah, I was doing Major League Baseball their Players Association All-Star parties, and they came through my local city, and the lady just started bringing me around because she's like, we've never had anybody actually keep people here. All the DJs, they're done by 11. And they're going to other parties, but you had everybody here to begging for an extra hour. So
Yeah.
I totally counts. And I think people that see it.
We're kind of on that when the EDM stuff was really in the forefront of popular culture, and it still is to an extent. But I think you guys were talking about it as well when everybody was like, let's look at the DJ. I feel like we're slightly over the hill with that. And it's a little bit back to more like, if the guy in the corner or the guy in the booth or the guy here if he's getting the work done, man, like just like you're saying, they have a million, especially with corporate stuff, they have a million other things to worry about.
Oh yeah.
All these other things, all these cues that have to happen at the right time. And they just want to say, look, they just want to go, are you set up? Are you good? Have you got this? Yeah. Forget about that guy. He's good. And we'll be here at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when we're still partying. It's like everybody just wants something taken off their plate. They don't want to worry about it. And if you're just the guy that takes that worry, they're going to be like, just get that guy. We don't need to try out other fucking guys,
That's the best way put I've heard in a long time. Is like, just take it off my plate,
That's the easiest. I always think that because we all have things like that. Like when we were getting the house fixed up for the baby, I found like a couple of people and they fixed some stuff up, and I was like, do you also fix this? Yeah.
Right.
Well, you fix this good. I'm just like, can you just do most of this work, because you're showing up on time. The work so far is good. The price is good. Like what? Why am I like why would I complicate this for myself? Like, I
Right.
got I got a million other things to worry about, and I think it translates. You know,
Why do I need to call 10 other people to save me $50? You know?
they probably won't call me back and be like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
too good." You know,
Yep.
so nah, man. I think we're good. I think we're good for another decade, boys. We'll be
I
good,
think
Do you?
man.
so.
I'm probably older than you guys, so it's like maybe not.
I
No,
I think
I
I
think
got a
so.
lot of life left in me with DJing. At least I hope. I think that somebody's gonna have to carry my ass out of the DJ booth
Of
when
course, yeah.
I'm
Well, I mean,
70.
like you must have seen guys who were your peers for long periods of time, guys that were in amongst the circuit with you for like 10 years, and on their terms, they were like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Like I'm tired. Don't want to do it anymore. Don't have enthusiasm for the music. Don't want to play certain types of music." And I'm always like, "Well, you should. You should dip." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If I worked in another shitty job, I know for a fact if it was killing me, I would dip. But if I'm not and I still enjoy it and I'm willing to, stay up on the music, like I don't see why anyone's like you're saying they're gonna have to pry it away from me, man. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amen.
totally.
Amen. Well, I think we should talk about music since we're talking so much about it,
Boys,
and
but
let's jump into our music segment.
All right, we're gonna roll this segment video and then we'll talk a little music.
Hello, this is Bond. James Bond. Joanne Fuse, I think it's about time we talk about music. Personally, I like to listen to grown and sexy smooth jazz with my favorite girl, Pussy Galore. Now make me a cold martini, shaken, not stirred. And break down your top music.
oh yeah, the world's favorite wife beater, man. Yeah,
We had to bring back Sean Connery for you.
of course. Yeah, he, he is Bond. Yeah,
He is Bond. He's the only Bond.
yeah. He's up there.
Yeah. I like Craig too, but yeah, he is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Who?
kind of like whoever you grew up with is Bond is really like
Right.
in your head. So my
Right.
dad put me up on this the Connery Bond. Yeah,
Okay.
so we're good, man.
Who is your favorite remixer or producer? It doesn't have to be DJ related. It can be just music in general.
Just in general. I mean, like when it comes to like the functional edit stuff, not. I mean, like obviously Joe Maz. I mean, I'm not trying to like. I was thinking. Obviously, we just started speaking, but I mean, I've been on DMS for like in years, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like in that sense of like, I have so much of you guys stuff.
Amen.
Victor Minigo is another guy who just
Yeah.
like, I think when you're downloading so much music and you're looking for so many edits, or you need something in a hurry, certain guys' names you're just like, this guy is going to have the drums are going to be chunky. I don't need to worry about it being like having a little quantized drift 3/4 of the way through the record. Like, so yeah, I like the guys that are like the guys like yourself, guys like DeVille, play a lot of
Oh
DeVille
yeah.
stuff. Joe Maz, of course. Scooter, yeah, all those guys. But I also like the kind of wavy stuff, like Eccentric. I don't know if you play
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
wavy
Definitely.
Eccentric stuff. I had a couple of gigs like post COVID, more like vibey bar stuff, and yeah, some of those flips. It's like you're always up, and people are like, "Yo, what is this version?" And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, "It's Eccentric," you know.
Right.
If you had to pick one song as your theme song that followed you everywhere you went, whether you went grocery shopping or to a bar or whatever, and it played every time you walked in.
I gave it some thought, but I didn't want to give it too much thought. I heard this on the previous podcast. I think it'd be OJ's "For the Love of Money."
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good one.
And it's nothing.
great
It's
one.
not. It's nothing to do with money. I just feel like whenever I see that song, if I see it placed in a movie or anything, fuck, that bass line, probably one of the top 5 bass lines of all time, it
Yeah.
just hits. So that'd be me. I could live if everywhere I walked in was the OJ's. I could live with that. Yeah.
I feel it.
Love
I
it.
like it.
Is in your like personal time when you're not DJing, are you listening to music? If so, what do you like to listen to?
Yeah, you crazy stuff, man. Like, well, I'm very wide. Like, I listen to like jazz. I listen to like stuff like Max Richter and Niels Fram and like minimal fucking movie score type weird
Really?
shit. Yeah, honestly, I'm like a complete weirdo. But then I'm also like, I'll listen to like, you know, obscure 80s movie soundtrack cuts if
Yeah.
you're
Well,
just blasting.
real quick, back to the jazz stuff. Do you listen to that because you play instruments and you're listening to the instrumentation and it's interesting to you, or you like it's because it's mellow and it's just kind of good
I
background?
I just feel like that way when even with the OJs, like sometimes see when you hear something, it's just a vibe. So
Yeah.
my downtime is usually for the most part is like walking the dog, and where I live it is like walking the dog in the rain. I mean, if you just get some Chet Baker in your ears, and you're just walking the dog in the rain, it's like it really clears your head. But I mean, I listen to like a lot of funk, soul stuff, jazz.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like contemporary stuff. I mean, I always hit like the new playlist as well. I like hearing like new dance music that's coming out,
Right.
and just because sometimes I feel like if you're on the pools, you're just previewing. Sometimes I'll just hit Apple and I'll be like, Dance XL. I just let the playlist run and let the records breathe, and then sometimes you pick something off the pools. By the time you get to the club, you're like, oh, this is. I thought it was good, but this sucks, man.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
just picked up two off of Spotify that I did the exact same thing that you did. I just hit the top
Yeah,
dance tracks and let it roll, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm fucking feeling this track." And both
yeah.
of them have been hitting really well. So that's when I'll start doing a deeper dive and trying to find the pull shit for that song.
For sure, yeah, yeah. Find like someone that's already done the edit for you.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Is 500 Miles by the Proclaimers, is that a big song for you?
It's like a huge record here. It's like a wedding closer.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
I
they're
played
they're
that.
they're Scottish, right? They're from
Yeah, yeah,
Scotland.
yeah. They're from Edinburgh. Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, like, it's very. I don't mean the lowest common denominator, but it's like, yeah, it's very obvious here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
just
yeah, I
curious
mean,
because sometimes it's like it could be one or the other. You
yeah.
know,
Do you guys play that?
I play it.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, yeah. It always does
Oh shit,
well.
man.
I close it at
Yeah.
weddings as well. Yeah, it's a
Really?
great
Oh,
one.
there. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah, because I just did an Irish wedding. They had a lot of family from Ireland, and that was like the biggest closing song of the night. It was probably the biggest song of the night was the 500 Miles.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
we have another song. It's called Loch Lomond by Runrig. Do you know this song?
No,
No.
putting it
This
down
is
though.
Yeah, Loch Lomond by Runrig. That is the closer of all closers. Like I don't know if I said yes when I spoke to you guys. I was just at my buddy's, my best friend in the whole world's wedding, and they closed it out with that, and we had one American guy who was there who'd never been to Scotland, and he was just looking like what the fuck is going on? Because everybody stands in a circle, and
Uh,
we link hands like this. Every single guest in a circle, and there's a huge crescendo in the song where it just goes ape shit. It sounds like a Dropkick Murphy song. That's what he said.
yes.
And in the circle, then we just run. Everyone runs into the circle and runs back and runs in, and it looks like a fucking punk rock show for the last like 5 minutes of the wedding. And the funny thing was like of the circle, we had some other people from Canada, but they studied university in Scotland, so they knew the words. It's just one guy from New York who was there, who's just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know how to sing along. I don't know why they're all running into each other at this wedding. Just like so, yeah, it's a good song. But 500 Miles is it's big, man.
Well, I'm gonna look that one up, and then
Yeah.
another question that I had was thinking about was, I mean, you're naming one already, but is there any like big local tracks like that you're playing out at the club that kind of hit, not just wedding wise, but
Like artists from here.
yeah, yeah, local for you.
So like there's an artist that's from here. It's called Paolo Nutini. So
Oh
he has
yeah,
a
I love him.
yeah,
Yeah, shoes. He's got that track shoes,
yeah, new
right?
new shoes, yeah.
New shoes, new shoes.
But
Yeah.
he also has a record called Pencil Full of Lead. It
Okay.
sounds like an old like ska record. That one goes every time.
Huh.
Huge. Paolo Nutini, and then obviously Lewis Capaldi.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, I'm
Lewis
sorry.
Capaldi's
I
he's
was
from
writing
here.
that song down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Paolo Nutini, Pencil Full of Lead.
Pencil full of. I'm sorry.
You'll
Go
like it.
say it.
And Capaldi's big too, but his stuff is all like ballad. It's like a ballad, Maybe a little slow dance, little first dance at a wedding or something.
Yeah, he had the one big song here, which was the
Somebody you love. It went number one in the US. Yeah,
yeah, that was huge here.
yeah. He's a
He- He's a funny guy too. I saw like
yeah,
his I forget which one it was, like a Netflix or one of the
yeah,
shows
yeah.
documentary, and like it starts and he's just like standing there in his underwear or whatever.
He's like my label sent me these pants or something, and he's like look at the fucking size of them. Like he's a character. It's a very like his shtick is it's actually very typical of people from here,
Okay.
like self-deprecating, like just yeah. But I don't know, like we're a very like warm. We have a very warm culture, like, and people just joke and yeah, we're a different breed out here, and he's not. He needs to calm down though. He needs to take some time because the kid is working himself to the bone. That's kind of what the documentary's about.
Hmm.
Is like he's kind of suffering with his mental health, and yeah, he has a couple of million in the bank. He should take a couple of years get his shit together, man.
Right.
So
I,
if
I
you're
feel
listening,
like there's two mindsets with that though too. It's like you could either um, take a few years, or he could just hustle right now and then just
yeah,
fade into darkness and be completely done. It's like I
yeah,
worry sometimes, like the way music is now. It's like if you don't strike while the iron's hot and just get your money while you can, it's
yeah.
like you could be such a one hit wonder and be just done.
It's like only so many artists have the luxury of taking 2 years to write an album, like
Yeah,
Coldplay, Beyonce, blah blah blah. But I mean, the Avicii thing always sticks out to me. I don't know if you've seen that documentary.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Sad.
it's really clear that there was so many people around him that were like, "No, you can't stop. Do you realize how much money you're going to lose?" I mean, what they mean is how much money they're going to lose by him not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously
Totally.
that cult that culminated in the worst possible way. So I don't know. I mean, how much money is enough money?
None, especially when you're dead. Because, well, we were, why we had a DMS party in Vegas at Excess, and we were there for Vivici, and he was 2 hours late, and they just, they couldn't
Really.
pull him out of his room, and it was like at the height of all of that.
And
They
what's crazy is everybody's down in the club being like, "Fuck this guy, man," and he's upstairs
Right.
being like, "Fuck." He's like,
Yeah.
What's
it's tough.
crazy is that night at Excess, it actually worked in their favor because Mac J was there. Mac
Mm,
J went on for a little bit and played, and then Avicii didn't start. It was like super late, and it was
mm.
that the Mexican Independence Day. Drew, was that
Yeah,
when we were there? I
it's
believe it
so blurry.
was.
It's a little blurry, but I
But
think
they ended
so.
up they ended up like breaking the attendance record for the club that night, and it like just stayed packed. So, but yeah, it was like what's going on, and we kind
Yeah.
of had some insider information of like what the actual
That he was
and
having a little episode.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But I mean, only in Vegas, really, because people are like, "Yeah, we're out. We're gonna stay. No one's leaving till Avicii comes." It's like Vegas is just another. Plus, Mac
Well,
J
he
is
did.
not bad. He's not a bad guy to have on to like hold it down
Yeah,
in
Oh
the
yeah.
no.
meantime.
Yeah,
He
he was
played the
killing it.
pool that day.
Uh-huh.
Or Avicii had played the pool that day, I guess, like the
Okay.
Encore Beach Club, and then
Sure. Yeah.
had himself probably a day there, and then they couldn't get him out of the room.
I mean, I really like him. Like, I really like. I was traveling to like Norway and like kind of at the start of his career, and these Norwegian kids were like telling me about this guy Tim Berg and how the first record like Seek Bromance was like the big
Yep.
one,
Hmm.
and that sound was just really starting. And the first version I have of Levels, it says Avicii ID, and this is before ID was like really a term for like
Yeah.
something that you didn't know the name of. So for honestly for like 8 months, I thought that's what the song was called, and I thought
Oh
the guy's
wow.
name I thought his name was Avakai, and I'm like Avakai ID, but it was one of those records where and it didn't have it's the one without the vocal.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
even that was still killing. But when once I saw him and I was just like, oh, this dude is just this little Scandinavian kid who's like on the Fruity Loops and he's just like making tracks like day and night. I just really like this story. I thought it was like super super sad, and I think he's the absolute upper echelons of what that EDM bubble was.
Of
I think
course.
him, Swedish House Mafia have these things where it's like, if you take Don't You Worry Child playing an acoustic guitar, it translates. If you take Wake Me Up or Hey Brother, like these are like they're like songs.
Right.
And that's
I
why they still can, when was the last time you played Martin Garrix's Animals?
Facts right there.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I did a longer EDM set recently, and I was like digging. I was like, oh shit, I could play Animals right now. That'd probably do all right. But yeah, it's not on the top of the. It's not getting
Yeah.
played every night for sure.
It's got 30 seconds in it at best, and then you're like, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll never forget that night when we were at Excess and he was like delayed and we were just all outside hanging out talking. There was like a bunch of different DJs there. There's probably like 20 or 25 of us all. And then all of a sudden you just heard the "Do you think about me when you're all alone?" And then he was
Yeah,
up on
yeah.
the stage and the place just like
Well, he
I
had
mean,
a great set that night too.
yeah.
He killed
yeah.
that set.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
was going to ask. Like, how was it? Did you feel
It
like it was like, oh, we're in the presence of like Avicii, like
it
it's
felt that night I was like, and especially like looking back on it, it was just like 2 hours of him playing his music the way he wanted to play it,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it was, I don't know, that time, that era, getting to see that, it felt like, yeah, looking back, and even in that night, I remember being like, wow, this is, I think Wake Me Up had just came out. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
right around the time that, and he opened a set with "I Could Be the One," and yeah, it was really cool.
I mean, Wake Me Up is kind of. I mean, I would play Wake Me Up at a corporate thing or a wedding.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
It's
Yeah,
like
definitely.
the
Still
funny
play
thing
it.
about Wake Me Up was, I think he debuted it at Ultra,
And he got
and
booed off.
he got booed. Like they were like, "Fuck, this is the worst," and and it's like then goes on to break like every Spotify record for the next like 2 years, and it
Yeah,
just shows you that he's like, and I mean, in retrospect, you're like, oh, wasn't that much of a risk, but yeah, he was like, no, I'm going to put a record out with a country guitar and like a more country vocal, and yeah, he took a punt, and no, I think he's a special talent, especially as well because he's one guy, and I think this Swedish House Mafia said this when talking about Avicii is like they always had each other to like if one of them was like stressed, the other two could like talk him down. But just being the one guy and having all that kind of that lifestyle on you, and that you really must feel like kind of isolated if it's not in your because there's a bit in the documentary where he explains that he read Carl Jung and how he found out truly what an introvert is and what and he's like, oh, I am definitely an introvert, and
yep.
it kind of made sense to him. But when you think about it, it's like, well, what he was doing was really no place for someone that's truly introverted.
Right.
I mean, it's a struggle. So nah, man. Rest in peace, Avicii, man.
yeah.
And all the enablers. So yeah, I mean, I get you. How much money is too much money is what you really come back to. Like I feel it.
Yeah,
It's true. Mental health first.
yeah, man. It kind of shone a light on it because it happens like at any level. We all feel like this job is awesome, and we should never complain about it because we all wanted to do it when we were young. Like, "Oh, I really want to be a DJ. I really want to be DJing. I would DJ 5, 7 nights a week if I could. I just want to." So anytime you have to like say no to work, or you kind of want to say like complain, not just normal complaining about requesters, but just complaining about just like how it's affecting you, or
Yeah.
I've had little bouts in my life where I'm just like standing there DJing and I'm just like, fuck, man, just I don't want to be here with all these people.
Right.
Yeah.
This thing goes off in the back of your head that's like, oh man, you're so ungrateful. It's like the best job in the world, but if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to fake having fun. I mean, especially in
it's
a room
exhausting.
full of
Yeah,
people that are having fun,
yeah, it's exhausting, and like again through that EDM thing when we all got a little bit more shine, like, oh, let's put the booth on the stage, let's add some production. Like they're
And
like,
Earhart's
can you kind of, yeah, can you do some of this? And it's like,
twist the knobs.
if I feel, if I feel like it, but if I just had some like, if I've had a long hard day in my real life, like just clocking in and being like, it's a it's a grind. And I always used to think, I remember writing a tweet back in the day saying, I wonder if Avicii walks around supermarkets at 4 in the morning buying sandwiches. You know, like that way when you come out of the club and you leave and you stop for some food and you find yourself in a supermarket just like walking with all the lights on still and you're just like just lonely buying some sandwiches like but I guess Avicii, he had his own
Well,
version of the 3 a.m. supermarket. Man.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that documentary. It has been
it's
a
been a
long time.
while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's a job of a high followed by an
Yeah,
instant
man.
low. Like usually people when they leave the bar, they come with a group of friends and they leave with a group of friends. Well, the DJ
Yeah.
comes before everybody gets there, sets up, keeps the party going, and usually leaves by himself. Or if you're Drew, you stay till 6 a.m.
He's networking. He's the bar guy's favorite DJ. Oh, Drew always stays behind. Yeah, he's the man.
Oh my god, I was having a good time. That was he's talking shit, but it was a good time.
But but also it's like when you're DJing through your 20s, it all makes sense. All makes sense. You finish DJing. Do you want to go to this party? Yeah, let's stay out for 2 days after. All of it makes sense. Slowly but surely, you find the right girl. Everything just settles down. Then you have to be like, okay, this is this part of my life, and this is the job, and let's just work out how we can have that kind of balance.
Yeah.
Because and it goes back to saying like, when I started DJing properly when I was like 20, 21, did I think I'd be still like solid doing it at 40? Probably not. But here we are. So you just have to like navigate. And that's why stuff like this is good because our it's such a niche thing.
Oh, so
Like
niche.
you can only talk DJ shit with like other DJs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you know what it's like sometimes in your own city, you never really connect with the other DJs that work because they're working. You always, every time you see someone that DJs, you're like, yo, we should get a coffee and like catch up. It can go months before you get a proper catch up with the homies.
That was my
So,
biggest regret, and I think that's why we love this podcast so much. I mean, I'm sitting here taking notes as we're going, honestly, because I'm like, oh shit, this, and it's like so many
dude,
ideas. But my biggest regret coming up as a DJ was not taking a weekend off and going to see someone else play. It was always just being too booked and not taking the time to,
yeah,
go and hang out with the homie and like listen to and
yeah.
get new ideas and stuff. So it's
No,
valuable.
like nothing like you ever feel like that? Like nothing really fires you up more. Either you go and see a DJ that's like, way up there, or you just go and see like someone that you know is the homie and is good.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I try and chop it up now with guys like that are close to me, and I'm like, yo, see for this type of night, like what are you running through, man? Like just throw some things, and
Yeah.
if I can't get to go to their gig, I'm like, yo, just let me see a history file, you show a history file, and he's like, yo, I've not played this, and is that working? And that like camaraderie is like it was more prevalent in the early kind of 2000s, I think, when you're all younger and you're willing to like go for like dinner, we'll go for like food after the club and debrief the night. But now everybody's like, nah, I gotta get home, man. I need to sleep.
We we need a new term for it. There's brunch and there's dinner. We need that after the club term.
Yeah, but yeah,
Taco
the
Bell
club
coined
snack.
it. It was called the fourth meal.
Fourth meal.
fourth
There you
meal,
go.
and that's Eric Deluxe and Fives podcast.
Yeah,
That
there you go.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's
yeah,
called,
yeah.
yeah. So there you go. But
Well,
nah, man.
well, then let's talk music. Let's, yeah, hit them.
Right,
So one of the things that we always like to ask is the top most plays in Serato. So if you have Serato open and you want to talk about some of the songs you've played the most, we'd love to hear about it.
Okay, so I have Serato open. We established that it's 2 point something, not so great, 2.0.5. Doesn't have the play count, but I'm going to open a folder that is a solid folder at it. And I know some DJs were struggling with this. I could probably tell you, Matt, like things that just sit in the back of my head. I'm like, if it goes sideways, I'm going here.
Yeah,
I
love it.
this song I play all the time. Icona Pop, I love it. It's just
Yeah, it works
like,
every time.
and that this is that would be my top plays would be things that work every time.
Yeah.
So I got yeah, I'd probably say that. I still play the shit out of like Crazy in Love, Jackson
Same.
Five.
Oh,
I want you
same.
back. Like I just think like I have an edit I made of Jackson Five in like 2007 on Sony Acid. It just starts with the the let me see those hands, let me see those hands, and then the
Yeah.
keys come in underneath it. And I've never went back and fixed the edit. Like it's still
Yeah.
just like I almost like announce myself at like every gig at some point. I stop the music and just hit it with the acapella of the thing, and it just crushes. I've played it everywhere from like huge gigs to like tiny. I don't
Yeah.
know. Some records just hit, but Icona Pop's more, I guess, more contemporary. I
No.
see. I don't really care. I play a bunch of. I play Taylor Swift. I don't give a
Yeah.
No,
What?
it's good.
wherever
That's
the
what's
most
working. That's what's
wherever the
Every,
the.
most wherever the most effective record
Mhm.
yep.
at the time. I'll tell you a record that I play a lot, and I don't. You tell me if it gets play in the States. Can't Hold Us by Macklemore.
I play that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't sure because I feel sometimes I feel like Macklemore is bigger in Europe than he actually is back
Huh.
home.
I
Last Wednesday night, I had a girl come up to me begging me to play Downtown. I was like, really, Downtown? I haven't played
Mm,
that in ever. And
yeah,
I put it on, and it actually did really well. The
right.
whole bar was dancing and going for it. And then the night right before that, someone else came up to me asking for "And We Danced," that
Oh
Macklemore
yeah, yeah.
record, and that
That's a deep
just
cut.
fucking just destroyed that little bar. But you got to know you got to know Macklemore.
But what's crazy is if you play Downtown and you get a reaction, you're like, I'm gonna play Downtown tomorrow night, and it won't work.
No, hell
You're like,
no.
I'm gonna put in my creative like hitters, and you're like, it's not her. It's like
Yep.
something the stars aligned that night is something. I've had so many of those. Someone ask you for something that you forgot about. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna make this specific person happy. Whole room erupts, and you're like, this must be a thing. Put it in the
Yeah.
crate. Play at the weekend. Bombs. You're like, back you go, back where you came from.
It's even more worse when you're at the exact same spot and you were like, "It worked last week. What's going on?"
Yeah, people are just like, huh? This guy? Nah, nah. But yeah, I mean, like I play like on the cooler, not the cooler side, but if I can get a whole room rocking to like Stevie Wonder, Signs He'll Deliver, Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody. Those are records like if I'm playing, if someone's like, "What is this? It's trash." I'm like, "It's definitely not trash." Like if you try, you're trash. You know what I mean? Like some records just can't be argued to me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, a bunch of obvious stuff. I mean, this is a little play like stuff. A lot of the a lot of the 2010s poppy stuff is back
That's
so
what's big.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
just because like it's just been the right amount of time for these kids to reminisce on like Super Bass and Rihanna, all the only girl in the world and all that. It's like all that stuff's hitting. So yeah, man.
Any
I'm playing.
last honorable mentions? Like stuff that you want to play that it does good enough, but is
I'm just trying to see, because I don't have this play. I mean, apparently the play count thing has not been so accurate. Am I right in saying some?
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to see if there's like a. I play Adele "Rolling in the Deep" all the time.
oh yeah.
I
Oh,
play
which
that.
version of that are you playing? Because that's been so big for me.
It's funny you should ask that, Drew. I have I have an edit that I made that I can send you that where like it's the most drawn out epic version of the intro. Like it drops to like a cappella, then it drops to just like some percussion, then a kick drum, and it just keeps building until the whole record comes
Okay.
in. But I'll sling it over to you. But yeah,
Uh,
that one kills.
I'll send you the one that I play. So we'll swap.
Please, because that one kills. Obviously here Scotland has like a huge dance music culture,
Mhm.
always has. From like really underground stuff to like obviously Calvin Harris is like our biggest fucking export.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I mean all all dance like Show Me Love and all these things always go off here because we've been like that's been the backbone of our nightclubs and events since like you know the early 90s. And I always play Paul Simon, You Can Call Me Al.
I love it.
just because.
And you know, I always love that music video, but does it do well?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a big wedding record. So sometimes you play it in a nightclub and you can get away with it. People have a nice little like, hey,
Yeah.
and the opening keys is almost like a chorus. Everybody's like da 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 da. But even if
Right.
they don't know any of the rest of the words until it says "You can call me Al,"
Right.
there's enough of a hook in the da 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 to get people like, oh, I know this, and they'll just
Yep.
mumble their way through the verse, and then a big "You can call me Al," and then you're out, man. You know.
Yeah. Love it.
I will say I haven't been to Scotland, but I've been to Ireland, I've been to England, both multiple times, and I think the pub culture is, obviously I've been to clubs in England too, in London especially, and those are very much some of the clubs are very much like clubs in a big city here, bottle service, this
Yeah,
and that. But the pub culture, and like more just like the party pubs where there's like a band and a DJ,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
it is a little different from here, and I haven't quite put my finger on like what it is, but I think people are just nicer is what I think. Like they're a little more friendly. Like it's no big deal there to see like an old guy out
Yeah,
drinking
yeah,
and then like young people out drinking. Whereas like here sometimes there's like a stigma of like young
mm,
people will be like who are these old people at the bar, you know? It's like it's
yeah,
different in that sense.
yeah. Like puts them off from that venue, and I
Mhm.
feel like, but it's about the venue. So the place I'm working right now is like it kind of like it's 2 floors. It looks like a pub, kind of like a really like well designed. Uh, like it looks modern, but it is also modeled after like a German beer hall. It's
Okay.
this huge. The downstairs is like this huge wide room, and we have like a full stage. But the good and what I was saying about the transition from clubbing being like super serious and more like dance floor driven. These venues, especially, I mean, are you talking about like Dublin when you go to like Temple Bar and stuff like that?
Yeah, just even like everywhere. Like I've been to some of the smaller cities, and I feel like
Sure.
it's more the same feel, you know.
So see if you go in a venue and it's like you have tables and then you have like a big dance floor. It's like there's quite a lot of like people go in and then there's a lot of like looking at everybody else, like check wow they have a table and they're ordering more bottles or like everyone on the dance floor is just kind of like sizing each other up, which is like really not what we're here to do. So certain venues that are more like designed like a pub really like you can have a table here and they could be like all different ages. They're just interacting with their own little table, not a table in the sense of a bottle service crowd, just like a fucking
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
And they might be dancing at their table. They're only looking at their friends, being like, "Oh, this is the jam." Like, then you can have an older table, a younger table, a bachelorette party, and then like you can have a little space for dancing right in front of the stage. So I think sometimes the venue contributes to that, and that the I mean the way nightlife is now, the idea of like excluding, like, oh, this is really like a club for like 18 to 25, because obviously I'm like older, so when people like that I know they're like, oh, we're going to the city, where should we go? And I'm just like, I mean, now I have a place that I'm like, oh, this place is perfect, or like some more mature looking bars, but some of the places I still work is like a really young demographic. I'm like, don't come here. You
Yeah.
will feel you will feel like weird, man. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm in the booth, I'm doing work, but if you're just wandering around, you're gonna feel like a weird dude. So just like, but like the thing, like when I was in LA just there and I was talking to Graham and we went to Bungalow in Santa Monica and he was just talking me through like basically the kind of ethos behind Bungalow. And he was like, it's like if you show up and you wait in line and you're not like a complete asshole, you're going to get in and you'll get you'll be allowed to enjoy the fucking party in the venue. And also it's part of the hotel, so you can maybe have a mixture of the hotel guests coming down. So versus like, going to, I mean, we don't really have too much of this because we're DJs, you're somewhat plugged in, but people go out clubbing and they're just terrified of not getting in anywhere.
Right.
Just
Right.
getting like going up to a door, maybe wait for like fucking 30 minutes, only for the door guy to be like, no. And they're like, why? And they're like, just because. No. And it's like,
Right.
so it's like the ex, the kind of exclusive nature of it is, I think, is kind of played out for just now. We don't really
Right.
have that luxury because we don't have the same amount of people interested in nightlife. So I think, like you're explaining, like a more inclusive venue is probably what you should be doing right now.
I
I
agree.
think.
I think that's where everything's kind of turned into. I mean, well, you've been to Bungalow. Drew plays at the bungalows. You've kind of seen them, and like
Mm,
that's kind of what it is. I mean, he
mm.
plays a lot of different music there. Especially Graham plays all over the
Sure, yeah.
place.
And that's what, and those venues call for certain types of DJs. You
Yeah.
know, you can't if because the crowd could be totally different week to week, and you have to
Yeah.
be able to move with it. And that's why you have guys like Graham and yourself. And not saying that a young guy couldn't do the job, but it's just as long as he's well versed. But it takes time to become well versed.
Yeah. That was my whole argument with conflict. You got to have that bag, and that bag takes time to build up, to be able to dip inside of it and
Yeah, and you can
have
quick
those tracks.
you can fill your bag very quickly with MP3s. Doesn't mean you
Right.
have a fucking clue what to do with them.
A clue
Yep.
what to do with them. Yep.
It's like, well, I mean, I always try and pump the brakes on sounded like the older guy who's like, but see, when I was coming up, I was so I was so interested in what guys that were older than me had to say, and I
Yeah.
had so many good guys who really, one way or another, offered like mentorship, either
Yeah.
like directly or just from like presenting like a really good like example of what the fuck needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just totally invaluable. I just see guys DJing and I'd be like, fuck man, like we'll look at the room and look at how he's working it and taking notes of records and looking at the time and seeing when he was playing it and just being like, all right, man, this guy's like, rather than just be like run through the front door and be like, nah, I'm good, I'm good to go. I've been doing this for like, I've been doing this for 6 months, man. I can do what he does. It's just like, it's just, it's inconceivable.
Yeah.
For me, it's inconceivable because, not to even go back, but when you were buying records, like people would, when I started DJing, I was buying records. People were like, can you come play this party? I'd be like, I can't play it. Why? I literally don't know. I just have this many records in a little bag. You maybe
Right.
play for like 35 minutes, but then I'm out
Right.
unless you want to hear the
Right.
same records for the next 35 minutes.
Right.
So I remember the first time I was able to fill a flight case.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe that's still only 100, still only like 100 records. Man.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
okay, as long as specifically what you're looking for is in this box, yeah, I'm your guy. But if at any point the night goes left, I'm in a lot of trouble. So
Yeah.
nah, man, it takes time. It takes time. It takes 10,000 hours, they tell me.
Oh, yeah. Yep. The 10,000
You know.
Hours. Exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and kind of how you did come up. What age did you start DJing and kind of what
Yeah, man.
led into it?
I'll try and condense it because I'm like old as fuck. And it's nah, so like during the mid 90s here, there was a huge boom with like rave music. And like that was like the first time I seen guys doing like DJ shit, like playing records, scratching. And it was for a period, it was like really high profile, especially in like Scotland. So that's when I was decided, I was like, oh, I need to get turntables, start buying this type of music. But hardcore and rave and happy hardcore and all these things, like if there was, it really fell off a cliff as I was
How
turning
fast?
yeah, like it was like overnight, everyone wanted to listen to like house music and trance music, and it just everybody graduated at the same time, and I was like, all right, cool. So I never was like that type of DJ. And at the same time, I was like, I would buy CDs, I'd buy um, like like Wu-Tang Clan. At the time, I didn't realize I was buying like seminal albums. I just liked records that had like tons of swearing in them and just something that was like, do you know what I mean? I was like a young kid and I was just like, this is just a totally different world. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I was seeing, because I mean, where I live is not like, it's not like, Staten Island. So I'm
Right.
like, I was buying all this rap music, but I had no idea how to become a DJ. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody who was a professional DJ. So I went to college for music technology, did 2 years doing that. And then I did a degree in something called commercial music, which was a kind of Mickey Mouse degree. But I was just treading water because I didn't know what I was going to do. I came out of that and I'd been making mashups, like take 50 Cent in the club and put it over next episode. I thought I was
Yeah.
like, but see, at that point, no one, the only people that were really doing it was like Crooklyn Clan, if you know what I mean, like, especially here. So I pressed it to CD and I was taking it to clubs, and eventually some dude was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'll start playing these like shitty mashups. And I was telling him like, oh, if you think of something, I'll make it and then you can
Yeah.
play it. And he was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then anyway, he was like, oh, do you DJ? And I was like, I can DJ, but I don't DJ anywhere. And they just threw me on like, yo, you can come do the first hour so that we don't have to do the first hour.
Yeah.
But those two guys, I'll name check them. They were called Chris Hesketh and Martin Hesketh. It was a father and son. And they were like,
Really?
I couldn't have stumbled upon two better people in my city. So plugged in. Martin's obviously like the father, so he's older. And he was getting ready to like transition out of DJing. So then I fell into becoming like Chris's like partner. And we became like a kind of duo. But at the same time, Martin was moving into promoting concerts. So he's like, he starts moving into that. And he's like, I'm going to book Busta Rhymes. You guys can open. I'd only been DJing professionally like on the circuit for like less than a year and a half. And I was like, the
Yeah.
fuck is. So he gave us these kind of opportunities. Like I said, I just couldn't have met two like better people. He's like, I'm going to book DMX, I'm going to book Busta Rhymes, and I'll just throw you guys on. You just smash it. Lloyd Banks. When all these guys were like the height of what was going on. And
Yeah.
then from that, we were really smart at like we would use whatever we just did to get like the next thing. We were like shameless self promoters at that point. And then like it just like I don't know, I honestly feel like we just fast forward and it's like that's when the kind of like the train took off, and I was just like, I've been DJing for 5 years, and then like Chris kind of left DJing, and I'm like, I'll just stick with it, and then it's like just one thing leads to another. But it's honest, kind of like luck, but then also just like luck in meeting two guys that were like really showed me that
Yeah.
you could do some like really cool shit if you just apply yourself. And just I don't know, I've never wanted to do anything else. I went to college, but my dad always says that he's like, I always knew you'd just go back to DJing because like I'll just run home from school and just go upstairs and just play records.
Yeah.
My dad was like, you never like kicked a football or anything. Just like just worryingly bad at sports because you're just like, and then I would just like, but I mean, kids don't really do this. Like kids obviously DJ now. I was like a child, like a teenage child, like buying records, like a geek, like we all were.
Yeah.
I mean,
You had
it's
to
like-
love it.
And my dad didn't know any DJs, especially any ones that were making any money. So the first time I brought home like $100, and I was like, "Oh, they gave me $100 for playing records." He was like, "Okay, well, sounds all right. Just keep doing that, and then $100 turns into whatever, and then you're good to go, man."
Yeah.
But I've been kind of lucky, man.
No, it's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Tell us a little bit about leading into the Redbull ThreeStyle. Like when
Yeah.
about was that, and then how it kind of happened.
So they were having Red Bull. They were having ThreeStyle in Canada. I think 2008, 2009. They were having it. They had it only in Vancouver. This is where they started it. It was like a little, like Red Bull reps do like their own. They do like little events where they're trying to push things. Anything will bring people out and they can sell
Yeah.
product. Starts there. It starts to like, present itself as like a blueprint for something. 2010 is the first year it goes globally.
Mhm.
I find a flyer randomly, and I'm like, holy shit, this is this thing, this Canadian thing. Because
Yeah.
when I saw the videos in 2009 or something, I seen videos of Headspin competing regionally, like in Canada, and I was like, oh, it's like a DJ battle, but it's just like club shit. And at that point, they were like, he was DJing like right across from the guy, and he's like pointing at him and scratching, and I was like, oh, this is so good. I see this flyer, it's like Red Bull ThreeStyle, like regional heats. This is 2010. So I'm like, read the thing. What do you do? Submit a mix. They phone me back. They're like, cool, you're in. And I do the regionals there in Glasgow. Like, it was strange because I don't really think everybody understood the brief. It was still in its infancy.
Yeah.
Strangely, the only other guy who performed that night who knew what the fuck was going on was Mojax.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mojax was there, and
That's
but he
wild.
didn't win. But he didn't win. This guy won. No, so, but I actually remember. I remember because I looked at who was performing, and I was like, none of these guys know it. I'll just win this. But I didn't know
Yeah.
him. But Mojax was the only guy who I didn't know because he travelled up from England to come to Glasgow because it's closer
Right.
for
Right.
like for his heat. So I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? And he went
Yeah.
first. And when he went first, I went, oh fuck. I went, this guy, he could win. Like he gets what we're doing here. And he was like, he did a couple of things. But Mojax had a tweet that night that I saw like days and days later where he said, uh, I've just watched the eventual winner clearly. Like after I'd performed, basically going like, he's gonna win. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
And I just thought, I like, I was just, I met him like a few years back, and I was like, I remember he tweeted that, basically going, this guy's going home tonight with it. But that was only the regional. Then I went to London for the UK one, and I came in second. And I was so pissed off, man.
Yeah.
I was just like bummed, and then I wasn't gonna do it the next year. And the people from Red Bull were like, "Yo, you gonna do it this year?" And I was like,
Who beat you that year? Who beat you?
Santero.
Okay.
Santero.
Uh,
Great DJ, like, and still talk to him, good guy. I know, I could work out why I lost, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, fuck, right, okay. I won't get into it, and it wasn't political, it was purely like, it was like down to the set. I was like, okay, I see why I lost here. And then the next year they were like, oh, you're going to come back. And I was like, nah, I don't know. I was
It's a lot of work.
I was so sad that I lost. And then they were like, oh, seriously, like just come and do it. And actually I had a gig the same night. This is some insider info, but ThreeStyle's finished now, so I'll tell you. I was like, yo, I have another gig that night in England. And I'm fucking the story up. They told me the Scottish Heat was in Edinburgh that year, right? So I was like, I'll do that. So I go through there, smash it, win that, and then they're like, cool. And then they were like the finals, but I actually wasn't going to go to the finals even though I qualified. I don't know why. I was like, I'm just gonna fucking leave it. I can't. Something that came up, and then I had this other gig the exact same night, and I told them I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna come to the finals, and they were like, oh, you have to come. It's gonna. And then I said, okay, I'll leave that gig as soon as I can, and I'll come from like whatever city it was, and I'll get to the thing. And I was like, but I want to choose when I go on.
Okay.
So the Red Bull in the UK was run by the ThreeStyle was run by an outside company, an events company that helped run it. So I was talking to these two guys. I was like, I'll come and do it, but I want to choose my slot because when I performed in London, I had to go first because you draw it out of a hat.
Yeah.
And they were basically like, all right, we'll fix the thing. They were like, when do you want to perform? And I was like, second from last.
Yeah.
Let everybody go, then I'll do me, then put another guy on after me and then it was like, as long as he's not better, this is done.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, cool. So they're like, oh, the running order is, and it's like, cool. So I just roll in. Yoda was judging, a few other people were judging. It was in a nightclub with like a normal crowd, normal dance floor. My set was like paint by numbers, washed out, and then they were like, there's like $1,000 and you get to go to Canada. Easy. Wasn't
That's
that
awesome.
honestly? If you go back and listen to my set, and in the context of a ThreeStyle set, it sounds pathetic. Like it sounds like this is not ThreeStyle. But if you were there that night, you were just like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
Like he's getting done. So it was an interesting experience. Canada, going to Canada was like it was like being a rock star for a week.
Yeah. I bet.
It was one of the because the competition originated there.
Right.
We just did so much cool shit over the week. Like and I know all the subsequent years had the similar experience, and people went to Tokyo and fucking Azerbaijan, but like me getting flown out to like Vancouver, and you go to the hotel room and there's like fucking, gifts from Sorrel and all this, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on, man? And then like, you know, you just go down to the lobby of the hotel and like Premier's walking around and Pete Rock's walking around. You're just like, fuck, this is like, oh man.
And that's the peak when they were really dumping a ton of money into
Yeah.
this thing, right? Before they
Yeah.
kind of started scaling it back. So wow, what
I
an
went to
experience.
I went to Poland to see it, just as like just to see it. That's when the Italian kid won, Damanito,
Okay.
and they had it in this like they had it in this venue. It was like a concert venue. I'm pretty sure they agreed to take all the seats out. Like
Oh,
the money they were dumping into it was like obscene. But I mean, fuck, it's honestly so much fun. Everyone would just come that wasn't even part of the competition, just hang out.
yeah.
But the more and more it went, just DJs from all over. It's like people always say it's like DJ summer camp, and it kind of
Yeah.
was. It was good, man. It was such a good vibe. I met
It's
so
kind of
many
like,
friends, met so many friends as well, like that are still my
yeah.
friends to now.
It's kind of like NAM and DJ Expo is, you know,
Mm.
just the networking and the whole bit. It's just like going there and just meeting all the DJs and hanging out,
I'm kind of
talking.
sad. I'm kind of sad that it's done, but I think it needed to like it kind of like it was really maybe I'm just biased because I did some of the early years, but it just it became more of like a thing. Like Three-Style was like a thing. So see in 20 when I was there in 2011, right? No one out of 18 DJs, not one DJ did anything that resembled a tone play, right? And then in
Yeah.
2012, Four Colors Zach shocks the fucking whole planet and does these
Right.
tone plays, and everybody's like, well, I've never seen a guy win it by more. Like it's fucking obscene. That whole set is just incredible.
Right.
And like everybody that was there on the night, because I had some, they were like, everyone was just going like, like they were just. I know tone plays. It was like it's not a new thing, but the way he was doing it, the records he was transitioning to and from, it was just genius. And then you go to like 2013, and every single competitor feels like your routine must contain a tone play
Right.
and X amount of wordplay and blah 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 blah. It's like no. When I was there in 2011, there was a kid from Bolivia. He just played like fucking like loads of like mad Bolivian music and played some hip hop. The place when we were watching the whole place is just like fuck. He's just doing his thing, so enthusiastic, and you're like, this guy's definitely from Bolivia. Like it was like everybody was really like doing them. The longer it went, everyone kind of sounded the same, even though they're from like 18 to 20 different countries around the world. So like, what the fuck? At that point, what the fuck are we doing other than trying to win the number one spot and be the next like face of the competition?
You just
So
described music and the internet in a nutshell. Everybody's
something
just trying to sound like everybody else.
they have too much like yeah, too much you have too much point of reference. Like you can watch all the previous Three-Style sets and you can watch
Yep.
all the winners and be like, oh, maybe my set should be something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like this is when I don't know if I've never told this story on like this kind of platform. So I get to Canada and I have a set, right? And the week runs from like we arrive and it's like there's a program of events the whole week. The first night we go to a club called Fortune Sound Club in Vancouver. So we go there and it's like a meet and greet. It's a club, everyone's popping, and they're doing hip hop karaoke and Scratch Bastard's there. He's rapping. It's just so awesome. But that's the club where my heat is going to be on the Thursday. So I get a chance to actually see the venue
Right.
and see kind of like what the clientele who might come and see the events. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and just as a like blue collar DJ, like just a normal dude, I think about my set in my head and go, it's not going to work. Right.
Right.
That's a
Right.
true story. People might say I'm lying, and I'm not like.
No,
So
I've been there. You prep all this stuff until you get there, and then it flips your whole
so
script.
for better or worse, I decide to change the set when I'm in Canada, when I'm already there. This is no one doing Three-Style would ever do that. I don't think would ever do this because, I mean, it clearly didn't work for me because I didn't win. But like, I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew some parts would fall flat, so I just went back to the drawing board. But I didn't have turntables. I didn't have anything to practice on. So I go back to the hotel room. And I started to try and piece it out in my head. I started to make the edits, and I started to think. They had a practice room. In the subsequent years, they had practice rooms at the hotel. They had a practice room at the Redbull HQ in Vancouver, which they let me use for like half a day. And I just ran through the set 4 or 5 times. And I was like, do you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I just try and deliver it with confidence. And actually, when I look back on it, I don't hate it. Some of the ideas in it are good. It just wasn't like polished. But how polished
Right.
can you be? You hear guys like, the elite level guys that are like the fucking J. Espinosas of the world. These guys are
Yeah.
like locking themselves in a room for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Just sit like, so that's a different. I mean, that's how you win it. And that's how you.
Right. Right.
Also, I should have probably stuck to what I had rehearsed. But
Yeah.
I'm like a
You
stereo. Like I just think like a DJ. Like I could walk into any room with someone else DJing and be like, well, if I was DJing, I would do this.
yeah.
Can't help myself. I just can't help myself. And if I think I'm like, I have something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this, and it's going to fall flat. I'm not going to play it. My brain just kicks in and go, don't do that. They're not going to like it. Rather than be like, no, like I'm just going to play because it's my shit. Like so, yeah, that was
What
my.
when you went the next day and then was the crowd what you had saw that couple days before, or was
Yeah,
it was
pretty
same
much.
crowd? Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you another interesting story. So I DJ on the Thursday. I do my set. Again, I got drawn first, which is hard. I do
Yeah.
my set. In my head, I think it actually went pretty well. It was very like crowd pleasing. It was
Yeah.
diverse musically, but very crowd pleasing. And I kind of thought I could win this heat because you had to win the heat to get to like the Saturday. So anyway, they announced the winner. It's the guy from Switzerland who's now like great friend of mine. And I'm just like, fuck, just get beers, man. Like I'm such a bad loser, man. Terrible loser. Like just like I was just like so drunk, man. It's like fuck this fucking Red Bull, man. Then the guy. So then we go downstairs. Famously on that week, we have an after party downstairs at Fortune Sound Club. Like just all the judges, everyone's hanging out, DJing. Fucking Just Blaze is there. It's just like such a good night. Then the guy who owns Fortune Sound Club, one of the guys who owns it, comes up to me and he says, "Would you be up for coming here tomorrow, the Friday, and playing records?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I need to go to," and he's like, "No, just like a gig."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "We'll pay you." And I was like, "What the?" I was like, "Seriously?" And he was just like, "Yeah, just come, play for an hour, and then when you get to when you get to like 15 minutes from the end of your set, just do your three-style set, like just to finish off." I was like, "Seriously, man?" And I went to the guy who ran it, and I was like, "Yo, is it cool if I just come here and like play records tomorrow, like just like for money for a gig?"
Yeah.
And Kenny, the guy who runs it, was like, "Yeah, of course, man." He's like, "I'll get someone to drive you from our thing over here so you can make the gig." So
That's
like
amazing.
that was like validating from the point of view of like, I was like, oh well, they heard something they liked, and it was
Yeah.
in their venue, and they were like, oh, let that guy come play for an hour. So I
Yeah.
kind of walked away being like, you know what, like, fuck, man, that's all right because I'm a DJ. Like, the goal of DJing is to play a gig and get the next gig, and then and so on and so
Amen.
forth. So
Yeah.
that was like that's my little like silver lining of other than like the week was awesome. I met lifelong friends, But that was like a validating moment, and a few other like notable characters were like, "Yeah, I like this little part of your set," and I was
Yeah.
just like, all right, that's enough for me, man. I'm good.
Well, I really wanted to hear more about you're doing like big festivals, or at least you were. Are you still doing some of those bigger festivals, opening for big acts?
Yeah, I mean, like I did a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, the festival stuff. I've not done a festival for a while. There was a period where I was like very very in demand for that shit. I did like I've done some yeah I did a huge one not that long ago that was for the boxing. So that was like at like the biggest arena that we have here. I got to DJ for the boxing. That was pretty dope. But a lot of festivals, yeah, you're talking about like so we used to have a huge festival here called Tea in the Park, V Festival, and
Well,
I've done.
I'm just curious what you play at the festivals, and a lot of our listeners really love just the music talk of it. So
Oh
just
yeah,
like
for sure.
the idea of prepping, playing for a festival, or even that boxing, just what you're playing or how
Yeah.
you're prepping going into that.
I mean, like, so we famously used to have a festival here, like a full on, like, you drive out, you camp out. It was called Tea in the Park. So I would do that, like, I did that a few years in a row. So the people that were staying for the weekend would arrive on the Thursday night, and all the big stages would start Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on the Thursday they would have like they'd have a stage and a tent just for the people that were arriving to camp, and they would just
Yeah.
have DJs on. So the first year I was asked to do it, I remember pulling up, and they had this stage, and it was like cool. It was like a big. It was just the front of it looked like it was blank. It was white, and then it had projection mapping as it got darker, and I did all this dope shit. So anyway, but this is like everybody's DJing, and I'm supposed to go on last, uh, and everybody's playing just house music, like cool as fuck house music, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm there with my friend, and he's like, and I'm getting like, I was like, fuck, man, I think I should just do this, man. I was like, I'm just gonna play like this fucking housey shit, man. And he's like, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you, man, if you do that. He's like, just
It's a
go up
good
there.
friend.
No, yeah, 100%. He was just like the same friend that I was his best man at the wedding. He was like, dude, just fuck it. He's like, I know what you do. He's like, just do that. Trust me. He's like, you're gonna regret it if you don't. And I was like, that's what I plan to do, but I'm just kind of getting jitters that everyone's gonna be like, oh, this guy's playing really obvious shit. And then I'm like, cool. So I'm supposed to play for 2 hours. The DJ before me is Little Louis, you know, the house DJ, really famous.
I don't know.
Oh,
he has-
Louis
he
Vega.
had- no, Lil Louis. He has a famous record, French Kiss. Has a breakdown in the middle with a girl orgasming, just a sample of a girl orgasming. Really famous house record. So he's DJing, and whatever's happening, he's running late or some shit. So they come to me and they say, "We're gonna have to cut your set. You're just doing the last hour." So I'm just like, again, that thing. I'm like, 1 hour of just absolute, like, slaying it, run through records, and like. So eventually my friend gets in my head, and so I'm like, right, fuck it, man. So I just run through, like, I think my first record was like some edit of like Rapper's Delight, Stevie Wonder Superstition, bunch of Michael Jackson shit, start building it up. And then festival wise, I'm like playing like fucking drum and bass records into like House of Pain, into like fucking Joan Jett I Love, like a real, like, just open format in the truest fucking sense. Like, if you hear this song, there's no way you can guess what I'm going to do next.
Yeah. It's the
And
best.
that was like, to me, that is like, that's as good as it gets anywhere ever. Like, when I started going to Vegas to see, like, it was like market research when I started going to Vegas. It was like '07. I'd started to fall out of love with hip hop because it was like everything was starting to be like Little John, Snap Your Fingers, and it was getting slow, and it was just, I was like, it's not really for me. Came through an era of like really good, you know, up tempo. Everything was like a really good party record. It started to get crunk, and then I was like, I'm hearing records in other genres, and I want to play them, but it was like it was frowned upon. You're either like a hip hop guy or you're like a cheesy guy.
Right.
So, but I was starting to lean towards, like, I'm starting to hate some of this hip hop stuff. I'm hearing like rock records, like Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out.
Yeah.
It came out. I was like, this is so fucking good. And I started to do this thing where I would be like, maybe I can just play like a few rock records and with my hip hop and see what I can get away with. Slowly but surely, I'm like, it's starting to get a little bit of traction. And then I discovered that there's like this dude called AM, and I eventually get this like shitty MP3. It says Live at Concord, and I listen to the mix, and I'm just like, well,
We've all
this
heard
is
that
it.
mix.
Yeah, I was like, well, this is it. So then I go on the blaze the trail of like, well, who the fuck is AM? Do all this research, and then when you at that point in like 06, 05, 06, when you find AM, you find Stone, you find Graham,
Yeah.
and then you start to look at who's doing what in Vegas, and then by '07, I was like to my wife now, my girlfriend, I was like, we should go on holiday to Vegas, and she's like, all right, sounds like fun, and I'm just like going, yeah, because I just want to go to clubs and see if this is really a fucking thing, like,
Yeah.
just. And I go, and that's when I met Graham and Stone, and I was like, they were just playing like the wildest shit, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so open format, and everybody was connecting with everything, and just doing like loads of little clever things with records. And then I went back from that trip and just been like, all right, this is it, man. This is the next 10 years of what the fuck's happening. These guys are DJing all genres, but with a hip hop sensibility. Come back, start doing that, and it's like places are like, yeah, this is it. We just want to have one big room and one DJ. We don't want to have a hip hop room and a house room. And I was just right at the right time for that. And to go back to your question, you know, if you get a festival and you have what's going to be like a very eclectic lineup over the weekend that's coming, like that open format shit's just gonna. I mean, what could possibly work better?
Right. Right.
Just like joining the dots and just being like, yo, do you want to hear some like fucking Arctic Monkeys here? And then, the people that don't like Arctic Monkeys, they don't love it. They just roll it. And then the next thing they get is like some classic hip hop shit and then transition up to some electro shit. And
Yeah.
before you know it, everyone goes home happy, which is surely the goal of this whole thing we're trying to do.
I guess I overthink it because I see, sometimes, or I even talk to other DJs and there's, thousands of people in front of you and you're like, you want that energy like instantly. So you almost want to hit them up over the head. But, it's like exactly like you're saying, you just don't overthink it. Just go with, rocking the party.
It's
Well,
kind of easier. Like it's easier when you have like fucking like all those people. Like I'll ping you a video of like that exact gig just so you can see like it's not the biggest festival in the world, but I mean it's like when you look at it, it's like it's people kind of like as far as you can see,
Right.
and like if you can spark a collective energy, if you're in a bar with 60 people and you can get like 45 of them to agree at any given time, the energy will like stay in the room. So if you have
Right.
like a couple of like thousands of people and you can get like enough of them to pop at the one time, the energy is just like infectious, and then the task is not so daunting. You know what I mean? So that's why it's again it goes back to this like the guys who can rock a fucking bar with 60 people, you could go and play Tomorrowland's like next weekend. They could phone you on 24 hours notice and fly you out. You would not choke. You
Right.
wouldn't.
Right.
Like
I think
Go
one of
ahead.
the things that you're forgetting is that, you've done it for a long time, so you can tastefully do these things too. You can go
yeah,
from
sure.
here, you can go from here, because there's a difference. There's a difference between, when you've got somebody that's only been doing it for a
Yeah.
few years and um, they're hitting everybody all these different things, and they might play the same songs as you, but if they don't do it in the correct way,
100%. I
it
don't know if
might
it
not
was
be as
Stone. I
good.
don't know if it was Stone or Graham. I'm gonna guess it was Stone. On here was saying it's about like finding the common thread that runs through music, like all recorded music. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you have to be in tune. You have to be listening to records a different way. Someone's like listening to a record and be like, oh, the drums on this rock record, they sounds like could be a hip hop drum break. This will go. This won't be like you're saying. It won't be like jarring to go between this. And
Right.
that's why this is the birth of things like wordplay. Like if you can get someone following a certain lyric and then you like swing it over, this like novelty. And Stone is so great at that of like those tee up records. Conflict talked about it too. Like kind of tee them up with something and like they're like, huh? Like do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've seen Stone do like just the wildest shit. Like so somewhat for a minute you think this dude is so reckless, and then he just where he goes with it, you're like, okay, all right, fuck you, man. Like honestly, like he's and
Oh, I know. That's
and
why I love
when
watching them.
when I see that going off, I'm just like, that is like that's what gets you excited. Like because like I'm
Yep.
saying, you've got bad versions, guys doing very bad versions open format. And then you've also got like, I mean, you've got guys playing festival stages where they only have to play one genre. It's fucking still trash. Like it's literally, from our perspective anyway. Like
Yeah.
I watch a lot of videos from the bigger festivals, just because I consume everything. I feel like I want to say like, is there a record that such and such is playing it in their big huge festival set that could
Right.
it may be the next biggest shit. I'm also interested to just see, yeah, like if who are the better guys out there? I was saying about Mac J. Mac J came from an open format. He was more of an open format guy. He was one of these guys that maybe didn't reach the absolute upper echelons of EDM, but he did very well. But he was a
Yeah.
guy who had records that would slow down and transition into like I Love Rock and Roll, and then into some like trap drop.
The
Like
roller
and
coasters.
yeah,
We
and you
call
would
them
watch
the
like
roller coaster edits.
and you would
Mhm.
watch crowds and be like, and this goes back even to what we're saying about venues now playing fun music. It's like, just like Graham says this all the time, like, it's just DJing, man. You can't like suck your own dick. Like, just like shoot, like trying to like shoot over the top of people's heads just to maintain your rep. It's like sometimes that works. Like Calvin Harris, like all these guys, like, yeah, they have all their own records, but guess what? All his records are hits.
Yeah.
So he's good to go. But if you're going to play up there and there's like a million fucking people and your set is like, for all intents and purposes, boring as fucking shit, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? It's not sustainable. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very strange, man. It's like the EDM bubbles went through. I mean, I don't even know if it's still a bubble. Has it popped? Has it not popped? But it was probably the strangest thing like we've seen. Like it really skewed. And I mean this like very like taste like tactfully the way I'm saying this, but it was a very like strange time for AM to pass away, because AM was playing at EDC. You know, there's the clip of him at EDC that's in his documentary. It's also
He does like shout.
He plays shout,
Yeah.
and he goes up and he gets
Like-
the mic and he says, "Oh, I never did this before. I don't know what I'm doing." And he's like, starts scratching, and he drops his first record, and you're like, can you imagine the fucking fear that would be in like all these other DJs if they're like, yo, here's the lineup. By the way, AM's going to be here today. They'd be like, do you know what I mean? It's almost like the guy who's, I think like James Hype puts the fear in them now, because James, it's not my particular kind of DJing, but James Hype's up there getting busy, man, loops and fucking all that shit, versus the guy who's like just shit. Now that's fine if you're David Guetta, it's fine if you're Calvin Harris, it's fine if you're Tiesto, it's fine if you're Chainsmokers, but if you're somewhere down the line, your records aren't massive fucking hits, and you're not doing a whole lot of DJing, then how long do you think you're going to be here, my guy?
I 100% agree with everything you're
You know.
saying.
Yeah.
This guy
And
doesn't
the
know.
house is coming back. So we'll see. But it did talk about it in the documentary about after AM passed away, the big change. And, you know, I'm seeing it in my local market of just the new and upcoming DJs were all influenced by the Aviciis, and they weren't influenced by the open format guys like us. So, you know.
I mean, and it is what I remember talking to some younger guys. This is a long time ago now, and saying like, oh, who was the DJ who inspired you to get into it? And he said Oliver Heldens. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. Yeah. But it's all these guys like Oliver Heldens. I think this is purely an observation, and I think it's factual. Avicii is not famous for DJing. He's famous for production.
Right.
Calvin Harris is not famous for DJing. Like, this is the misconception that damaged a lot of like what we were doing during that period. You're like, Calvin Harris is the biggest DJ on the planet. It's like, this whole statement is very, very weird. When people said, "Oh, he made 47 million in 1 year," whatever the fuck it was like, yeah, because he wrote "We Found Love" for Rihanna. Like, he wrote it and produced it himself. He's the only credited producer and writer. You're going to make some money from that, man.
My dad sent me that article, and he's like, "Hey, don't you think you could start making money like this?" And I was like,
Dude,
go fuck yourself. You doubted me, and two, you're sending me what I was going to school for that you told me I couldn't do. Go fuck yourself.
I think that's the best thing when people say, and it was when that statistic came out. I don't know if I'm assuming it was his net worth at the time. Calvin Harris
doesn't matter. It's still a lot of money.
People would say to me, Are you not trying to be like Calvin Harris? And I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm like a personal trainer. I'm like, are you trying to be the most famous personal trainer on the fucking planet? Like, why the fuck is it? Why is it somehow like as if I'm behind the curve because I'm not like Calvin Harris, man. It's just like people. That's another thing about this job is like essentially the ceiling. There is no ceiling. If you work and you fucking do this, you could. There's no end to where you could go. But that's true. Really could be said of any fucking job. But somehow people seem to be like, yo, you could be doing more. You should be getting in with this guy. And why didn't you write your own songs? And you're like, because I'm just, dude.
Why don't you get a fucking raise?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you just going to Just be a globally recognized accountant. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, man?
It's my new answer to everybody.
Yeah, don't let them don't let them get away with that shit, man. As if you're some sort of underachiever.
I was just gonna say it's been great talking, and we have a couple more segments we'd like to do with you. One
man.
being our crazy DJ story. We would love to
Sure.
hear a crazy DJ story from you. We have the segment video. If you're good with telling a crazy DJ story,
Yeah, I'm always here for a crazy segment video as well.
all right. So
Let's
we'll
go.
roll
There
the
you go.
segment video, and then we'll talk crazy DJ story.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
All right, so we love hearing crazy DJ stories. I'm sure you've got something that comes to mind. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be both.
Do you like them in a particular vein, or is it just
Doesn't matter.
Whatever
you
the
want to
fuck
tell
makes
us.
you happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I have a thing, and I'm kind of blanking on everything else. So I'll tell this one, and I'll try and explain maybe some of the parts that don't quite resonate over the pond. Fuse, you might know. I'm not saying you won't, Drew, but do you know anything about like the soccer here? So in
Yeah.
Glasgow, we have two teams. We have Rangers and we have Celtic.
Okay. Yep.
Celtic are obviously like a huge club that is supported very heavily in Ireland as well. Like so, anyway, so yeah, probably the craziest thing that's ever happened is I had like a viral moment before viral moments were a thing. I had like an
Yeah.
analog era viral moment where
Analog area, yeah.
we
People passing
gave-
around video VHSs.
well, like it was in the newspaper essentially, but
Okay.
like around the globe. So yeah, basically when Snoop was here, when Snoop Dogg was here touring, we gave him a shirt, the Celtic shirt,
Yeah.
because we were at the hotel and we were trying to get him to do like a little drop for the mixtape. And then he's like, "Oh, cool, thank you." It gives us a drop. There was a whole long process behind getting it, but eventually we give him this shirt. Says Snoop in the back. The shirt is like a white and green stripes. It's a very like you spot it a mile away.
Yeah, pulling it up right now.
If you Google Snoop Dogg Celtic top and you look, if you go to images, there's a very very young me standing with him. He's holding the shirt up, and there's like me, him, and
Yeah, I
another
see
guy.
it right here. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, yes.
and he's wearing like a red mink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we give him that, and it was
That's
really our strategy back then was like we really wanted to get like do a little drop for the mixtape. It was really giving us a lot of clout in the streets, you know. But so we were like, if you give someone a gift, like yo, here's this, they're like, oh, thank you, and you hit them for a favor right there, it's hard for them to say no. So
Yeah.
we'd be like, yo, there's the thing. Can we have the drop? And he's like, all right, fuck it. So he gave us the drop. So we got that picture. So we're like leaving the hotel. It's like really like early in the morning. And my buddy Chris is like, he's like, we should just take this to the newspapers right now. This is a story. It's one of the like biggest like supported clubs globally. Like so anyway, we literally go to like the biggest newspapers in our city, in our country. They're printed like in Glasgow, so we're like going. We're like literally sitting outside the building waiting for like staff to arrive, and then we're like, "Can you go and get?" We go to like big reception. We're just look like idiots, man. Like we look like DJs in that era, 2004 or 5, whatever it was. Like, you know, fucking Air Force Ones and fucking big loose jackets and that. And we're like,
Yeah.
oh, can you get the entertainment editor down here? And they're like,
Yeah.
nah, man. And they're like, not you can tell her we have a story and all this. And they're like, so they like phone and they're like, and they're almost like, okay, what's the story? And I was like, oh, we have a photograph of Snoop Dogg wearing a Celtic shirt. It's like blah 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 blah. Okay, just take a seat. Next thing,
Yeah.
like this entertainment editor comes down and she's like, show me the picture. And we're like, there is. And she's like, holy shit. And she's like, all right, cool. And she's like, cool, tell me everything. And so we just rinse, repeat that for like a bunch of other rival newspapers, like just saying, they're like, did you take us anywhere else? We're like, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
Exclusive. And like, so the next day they like, everyone prints it. And because of the way, like, it's such a supported club, like, it just starts to like, people are like, share the clip and share the news. And it was like, it starts to go on the internet and it just became like a ridiculous thing. And then the next day, Snoop goes to Radio 1 in London to do an interview on the
Yeah.
next day of the tour, puts the shirt on, puts the red mink on over it, and goes to talk to like Joe Wiley at Radio 1. And halfway through the interview, she's like, Are you wearing a fucking Celtic shirt? And he's like, yeah, I'm wearing it, man. My friends in Glasgow gave me it. So just like, this is one of these weird viral moments where like it just absolutely ran away. And like, it's like, it still comes up now. Like it was in Maxim. It was in like, they would do these articles about American celebrities that support British clubs,
Right.
and it would always be the first one because the image of them is so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've
We
been
definitely need to post this. I tagged it in the stuff to post in our
Yeah.
socials when we retag this. It's
and
amazing.
then what happened the year after, because we were like, we got to open for him at an arena here,
Yeah.
and that was like so we really that was a good. But I feel like if it happened, now I would be like, I'd have been on like talk shows and shit for like, how like if you just do something remotely viral, you're like fucking globally famous, like the kid, the yodel kid.
Yeah.
You know, like this type of shit. I think I could my 15 minutes of fame may have stretched a little bit longer if it was in the digital
You
age. But
You would have had season passes to the Celtics games.
I mean, I didn't even get that, man.
Did you get the
Nah,
you get the drop? Do you still have the drop?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's good. The quality's kind of bad because I recorded on a little MP3 control, little thing with the built-in mic. But I mean, it's definitely Snoop. But
Yeah.
that was like we were kind of like ahead of the curve with like trying to like associate ourselves with like celebrities. So there was this misconception for many years that we knew him. They're like, oh, they know Snoop Dogg. I'd be like, yeah, we do. Yeah, he's the homie. But we were ahead of our time in chasing celebrity clout.
Yeah.
We ended up in the newspaper once, me and this other guy. We were at a club in London just as patrons, and it was a club called Yo-Yo, which is like, it's a really underground kind of spot, but it was kind of a lot of cool people went through. And a guy fell asleep in the club, so we took his shoes off, and we were like standing with him, and we were like holding his shoes up, and we stole his shoes. And the guy turned out to be Guy Berryman, who's the bass player for Coldplay. And so when we got home, like
Weekend at Bernie's.
it was like, yeah, I'll try and find the photo for that one. But anyway, we had the photo, and my friend was like, that was fucking Guy Berryman from Coldplay. So again, I'm just like, we used to just phone the entertainment editor and be like, for the same papers, I'd be like, the boys are at it again. And I just we sent the fucking thing, and she's like, it would be like, it was like Heskey and Big Al are at it again. Well, enjoying some time off at a nightclub in London, they decided to like steal Guy Berryman from Coldplay shoes. So we got this like, we had a little bit of like, we were the lovable rogues, and then they would just say, "Oh, yeah." It was fun. It was fun times, but yeah, only exists in like newspaper cuttings now. So
see if you can find that picture. I'd love to put that on the tag as
think I
well.
can.
It'd be amazing.
It's a good picture, man. It's a good picture. I do. I mean, I'm going to find it because I feel like some people will be like, he's talking bullshit, man. Like, no way. I'll find you the picture, and I'll find you the little pub in the paper.
Yes.
Oh, I
yes,
love that.
yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Those are some good stories, though. It's crazy, just the connections made.
I just think like, dude, obviously I never really had another job, but some of the shit that you get into, not just like mad stories, but just like all the crazy shit that comes with DJing, the people you meet and the places you go, it's like I could have done none of this without DJing. Like
Yeah.
none of it.
Completely.
You're having experiences that are like money can't buy experiences on different scales. Like the first time I went to Vegas, no, the one of the times when when I started going to Vegas and I knew Graham and Stone, they were like looking after me like it was a fucking celebrity, man. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the first time I went to Rain at the Palms, they're like, "Oh, just come on, just sit at the booth on the stage." I'm just a kid from like not even from. I live outside of Glasgow in like a tiny town. Like I'm literally in the middle of Vegas and there's fucking in rain and the fire's shooting out the roof. And I'm just like, the fuck am I? How am I? Why am I up here? Why are these guys letting me sit up here? But they're
Yeah.
just like, nah, he's cool. He's the homie. Like, just so many weird things like that where I'm just like, just access to things and access to people and nah, DJing's been it's the shit, man. It's the shit.
There's
Definitely.
times. There was a time when I did a wedding. It was like my first big travel wedding, and I was on this little hopper plane, and I was going in, and I was like, I got a little teary eyed because I was like, man, this is
100%,
fucking
man.
bonkers that this is happening right now.
Yeah, it's like they want like they're just gonna pay me some money to fly over here where they have DJs over here, but they want to
Right.
fly me over here
Right.
and give me the money to do the thing that I love to do. Like this, you just never lose. I've had so many moments like that where I'm just like, and my dad was like, and my mom as well, but my dad was always just like so encouraging because he could really see. He was like, this is like a world that I just don't understand. That I'd be like, yo, someone wants us to go and play in India. He'd be like, why like I don't know why this is happening, but yeah, fucking go, man. Like take their money and do the damn thing. Like, yeah. It's
Well,
like
I think it's awesome, and I think this is a great way to transition into our last segment that we call the sauce. And if you've listened to the show, you're familiar with it.
I've been waiting on Bootsy the whole time, man.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna roll some Bootsy.
The name is Bootsy, baby. And this shout out goes out to Drew and Fuse, all the way from Cincinnati to the LBC Barber. Yeah, I was told you guys are quite the chefs, and you got a delicious sauce that you cooked up. Ooh, and it drips that swagoo and breaks down the recipe. Yeah, and you giving up the pig, cause it's funky. As in good, that is. Finger funkin' good. On the one by the power of the one. Yeah, without that, there is none. So get yours and be in tune with the one that loves you. Get it, baby.
All right.
It really is the greatest video of all time. I don't know if we could ever replace Bootsy.
Nah, man. You know when Graham was talking about like their take on like his fucking line, let the worldview define the DJ and not the DJ and define the worldview. It's classic Graham Funky line. But like when I stumbled across this podcast started listening, I was just like with all the segments and the stuff, I was just like, these guys they just like get it. They like I've always loved because if you look at what Graham and Stone do, I know I keep going back to them, but obviously they're my dudes. But it's like when I seen them, I was like, oh, they're not taking themselves too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously. Again, we're just playing fucking records, like have fun. But you can when you're having fun with it, you can really dip into like you get a sense of what people are like about beyond DJing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When I saw this, I was just like, honestly, man, like when I was just like, the Bootsy Collins shit's fucking so good, man. I just love that the way you probably briefed him. You had to brief him for it, of like, we need him to say sauce. How do we get him to like,
Yes.
really like coerce him into saying what he said?
Yes.
We say we have a podcast, and we just go, nah, man, we're cooking up. And the fact that he just riffed on that, and I bet when that video came back, you were just like,
oh, we were
It
like,
was
this
like
is the best thing
it
of all
couldn't have been
time.
better. It couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
Right?
like sometimes when when someone riffs on something, you're like, nah, they're way off what I was fucking looking for. But man, he gave you more than whatever you paid. He gave you more than fucking
Oh,
what
it
he
was
paid for.
well. He's a fan of the show, so he sent it to us. But
I have no doubt. You know, Cincinnati stand up.
a few should know him because he is Cincinnati
Yeah.
royalty.
Yeah, man. He should know. Yeah, he should know. He's probably he knows. No, you
Well,
don't.
the captains are definitely one of our biggest influences. We're huge fans. So yeah,
Yes.
it was cool having them on the
Special guys,
episodes.
man.
So
Give us the sauce. Yeah.
yeah.
The sauce says a takeaway.
Yeah. Any advice to your younger self? Anything you would love other DJs to hear? Any advice you wish you had?
Buy Facebook stock. Yeah. No, I think maybe like there's definitely a part of me that says don't change anything because like yeah, I mean I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for the shit I've done personally and like professionally, but I just advice. I mean, my younger self probably in some sense just like I know this is super like generic and vague, but just like chill and take it in as much as you can. You ever do something and it's like a really it's a really dope thing, and you come back and you're like, you know, you were there, but you think, man, I should have took another like couple of moments just to really look out and be like, and that can go for any size of gig. See if you're having a gig and it's cooking, like even like a wedding and it's going off. See if you just if you see the nights where you remember to just look at people's faces, it just like feeds the soul. You're like, fuck, man, these people are just like they're just having a fucking great time, man. And I'm like, I'm a real piece of that. That's like why the first time you start DJing and you play some records and enough people there get a reaction. Once you get that, like that's you, man. You're like, oh fuck, I need more of that, need more of that, need more of that. But the longer we go, you can sometimes do gigs on absolute fucking autopilot, and no one comes up at the end and go, "Were you on autopilot?" They go, "Yeah, it was fine. It was good. It was almost great." Like no one notices the difference, but in your head, you go, "Fuck, man." I didn't even really like take it in tonight, man. People could have been. I just know it was great because in my peripheral vision, I saw the dance floor was still stacked. You know, so I would just say like sometimes you just pump the brakes and like just try and like look out and actually remember what it is that we do. Graham says it too. Like we're selling a good time. That's like a special thing to be slinging. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there's people out there like are fucking on YouTube trying to scam people professionally. We're like the fucking we're the yang to that yin. It's like we're just trying to sell you a good time. Please take it from us.
We're selling drugs without selling drugs.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I would just I don't like what I was saying before, like just don't take yourself too seriously, man. The shit's not that serious. And see, I've got out of this habit. There's like even though people will be like, oh nightlife is quiet or it's declining, right? There's still enough work. Like I'm working, you're working, he's working, Graham's working, this guy's like don't look at the other guys like his pie too much. See if you're working and you're paying your bills, like it's fucking irrelevant. All the stuff that you don't have or the other guy has is completely fucking irrelevant. Like I used to have this mindset of like a really competitive mindset of like, why didn't they ask me to do that?
Right.
It doesn't matter. And they'd be like, and then someone would say, but you wouldn't have been able to do it because you would be working the Saturday night. Then
Yeah.
my going, but they should at least asked because I'm the shit. And then I'd just be like, they'd be like, dude, you can't just have all the fucking gigs. And
Yeah.
your ego doesn't need to be offered all the fucking gigs. And I'm just like, and again, people are like, and people say, well, people look at you and go, he's like got too much. He's very, very established in this, and you're still moaning like you don't have enough. So I'd just be like, oh shit, man. Yeah, good point. And obviously you have like a fucking house and a life and a fucking baby and a dog and a wife and all this shit. And you're just like, yeah, man, like fucking just have fun, man. Have fun.
That's right. I love that. Yep.
Nah,
Well, I think it's hard to do, especially when you've been doing it for so long. Sometimes it is hard to just kick back and have fun. There's so many things that over the years you pay more attention to, and you're always trying to be on top of your game. So I think the advice to just remember to take the time to have some fun is good advice.
Yeah. When are you guys DJing next? When are your
Tonight.
next gigs? Tonight?
I
What are you
have a
doing?
wedding. I have a wedding tomorrow. I've been DJing 2 weeks straight. So,
Jeez.
but yeah, I have a wedding tomorrow, and it'll be a good one. So I'm
Well,
super excited about
make sure you have fun, guys. I
it.
think I'm gonna message you both tomorrow. Like tonight, it's all you have to have fun, and tomorrow I'm gonna message you and say like fucking have some fucking fun, man.
I will only have fun if I can start a fight to Natasha Bedingfield.
But I'll be having so much fun fucking through you if you can make it happen. And then you will
Feel the
have
rain.
if you create that viral video, you will probably be on talk shows going like we have the DJ who caused the bar fight to tell us what happened. And you'll be like, well, just I led them in with some DMX, just got it right there, some MOP, and then I hit them with a bedding field. And it was on.
I hit him with the betting field.
You just where the testosterone was just up there, and the bedding field just fucking put them over the edge, man.
It was the haymaker.
Oh, jeez, man.
What about in your gig? You playing this weekend?
So I'm back tomorrow. So I've had my paternity. I've been off. I've did one gig in 3 weeks. I took 3 weeks off for the baby, and we're just starting to get like my wife's like, yeah, let's go. You can go back basically and get some. So I'm going to go in tomorrow, and then I'll do probably Wednesday next week, and then I'll be back. Whatever comes as of next week, I'll take. So yeah, it's good, man. I feel weird because I've been out for like 3 weeks. I'm like, you like feel a little rusty. That's a lot of time to like not be on it. Not thinking like when we had a global pandemic and then DJ for like 2 fucking years.
Right.
Yeah.
But the 3 weeks seems weird. So, but nah, I'm looking forward to it.
I keep telling Fuse he needs scraps. He's going up to Ireland. I'm like, you need to scrap part of that trip and go up to Glasgow.
Dude, I mean, I could tell you many DJs like that have been here. Like I love showing people around, man. I'm a gracious host.
Well, I got a good excuse to go back now.
Man. And if you want to play records when you're here, that's fine. If you don't, also fine. If you want to just drink some whiskey and see some sights,
yeah, I'll be in Ireland in September, the 3rd through the 13th. I'm going to Blink-182 in Belfast. I'm seeing them in Belfast. I'm going to the Laytown horse races. There's a couple other things we're doing too, but do you have
like a tie to Ireland?
I've just really enjoyed it, to be honest.
I mean, it's good. It's nice to go and see a gig like overseas like that.
Yeah.
I tell you something though, Ireland is probably the only place that's comparable to like Glasgow. I was like Dublin is like my friend came to see Liam Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
He came from Baltimore. He was like, I'm gonna come see Liam Gallagher. And I was like, dude, you better be ready because like you can go and see Liam Gallagher in many places. Manchester, obviously. I was like, but see Glasgow, like even Blink, if you saw Blink in Glasgow, it'd be epic, man. Absolutely.
Well, you talked about the
Ireland
Arctic Monkeys. I didn't even get a chance. I want to bullshit with you later at another time, but you talked about the Arctic Monkeys about Glasgow, and there's so many bands that have come from that area, and I want to just go and see the music scene because I'm a giant music fan, and Scotland was the one trip that I did do up to the UK and Ireland and Scotland. Scotland was like my favorite. I love Scotland, but I didn't get a chance to go to Glasgow, just Edinburgh.
Sorry, man. I mean, it's only 40 minutes. It's only 40 minutes apart, so we will not make this mistake again, Drew.
That's right.
Drew and I will take a trip 2024. We'll do a Drew and Fuse show.
I think
tour.
so. I think we do. I think we need to mark that on the calendar. That needs to be an actual fact.
And if you come and I don't show you great hospitality, you can call me out on the podcast.
I don't think that would be something we would have to do.
I'd love to have you, man. And I need to check in with. I've never been to Cincinnati, but
anytime.
You're welcome to crash here anytime you come back to LA.
Been to LA now and then. Yeah, I need to. I know I hadn't been for so long, and then I was there, and I was like, when I'm there, I'm like, Why do I come? Why do I do this more often, man? So much fun.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
we'll see.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to be on the show
Thanks
with
for
us
having me,
today.
guys.
Before we wrap, just let everybody know where they can follow you and find you at.
Well, yeah, just at DJ Big L on the Instagram, and I have djbigl.com. So what else do you need? If you
Yep.
get lost, go there and you shall be found.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, that is going to wrap up the show for today. Until next time, we will see you guys later. Daft Punks, we're out.
Peace.